Parsons to the Packers. I guess the Lions shouldn't even show up next Sunday.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
All right, let's do this, everybody. We're wrapping up the week with the Friday edition of Locked On Lions right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This is a Friday, August 29th into Saturday, August 30th. Thanks for making us your first listen, and thanks for checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Matt Derry with you. I have been with you hosting this Locked On Lions podcast now, entering year 10, my 10th season doing this. Appreciate David Locke, Ross Jackson, everybody that is handing me the keys to the Lions kingdom here on Locked On. Appreciate all of you being with us. Thank you to the everyday listeners out there. We call them the everydayers that either watch the podcast on our YouTube channel or listen wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate all of you. One of our everydayers will check in later on in the show. We'll end the show with our call of the day. If you want to be our call today, you can leave a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page. Locked On Lions for today is brought to you by our friends at the Gametime app. Looking for tickets? Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. I recorded the show a little bit early yesterday because I was doing a high school football game out at Macomb, Dakota. Great game between Dakota and Brother Rice. Two well-coached teams. Coach Marshall at Rice is going to turn that program around. And I missed, as I was driving to the game, the big Micah Parsons news yesterday, so we'll do it today. Micah Parsons has been traded by the Cowboys to the Packers. I want to talk about the trade. I want to talk about what this means for the Lions. I want to stop with some of this defeatist BS, which is going on around this town. Oh, the division's over. The Packers are going to win the division. Brad Holmes, my favorite take from last night, a caller called into Jeff Rieger on the ticket on my drive home and said, Brad Holmes might be fired after this year because he allowed the Packers to get Micah Parsons. Yes, Brad Holmes called Jerry Jones and said, Jera, send Micah to Green Bay, please. I'm going to allow it. Yeah, that's what Brad Holmes did. Some of this crap that I'm hearing, I'm going to be very careful not to swear because I'm not allowed to. We have a newest Lion as well that's on the practice squad. There's still a 53rd roster spot to be filled, and we'll do our call of the day, as I said before. Okay. Micah Parsons is one of the top edge rushers, one of the top defensive players in all of the NFL. He's 26 years of age, and only Jerry Jones and the pathetic Dallas Cowboys, who have become a league-wide laughingstock, would trade their best player. And that's what he is. All right. Now, do I think Micah Parsons is the best defensive player in the league? I don't. Do I think Myles Garrett is better? I do. Do I think Aiden Hutchinson's better? I do. I think there are better players. I think Micah Parsons is a top 15 player in the league. Don't get me wrong. All right. And would you put him on the Lions? Sure. But only Jerry Jones would trade their best player in conference and to the team that has beaten them in the playoffs, 3 of the last 4 times they were there. 2 years ago, Jordan Love and the Packers went down to Dallas and Jerry World and kicked the snot out of the Cowboys. Only this dumbass owner / general manager would trade him into in the conference. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It was a horrible trade. He's 26 years of age. Now, Green Bay is going to pay him $47 million a year. They're going to make him the highest paid defensive non-quarterback in the league. And he becomes the highest paid defensive player in the league until maybe our own guy, Aiden Hutchinson, you got to figure right now is going to ask for 50. Myles Garrett's making, 40? Hendrickson is going to be making that. Max Crosby's right up there. And now Micah Parsons at $47 million a year. He's getting $120 million guaranteed. It is a fantastic move for the Packers. It is. I'm not going to deny that. Green Bay got a whole lot better. They gave up 2 first-round picks, but Green Bay hasn't picked in the top 10 in 20 years. These are low first round picks. These are end of the first round picks because the Packers are going to be good. Ross Tucker from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast and CBS was on this very show on Wednesday and picked the Packers to win the division before the Parsons trade was made. I'm fired up about this, and I've got a few reasons why. Number one, I think Dallas is dumb. I don't know what they're doing. They got 2 first-round picks back that are not high picks, and they got Kenny Clark back. Kenny Clark is a solid run stopper and a good defensive tackle. He's not great. He's good. He's now 30, and he'll fill in nicely there in Dallas. I love Dallas's pick of Ezeraku in the draft. He'll be one of the edge rushers. Hey, James Houston made the Cowboys, by the way. Whee! Dumb trade. Was Micah acting out and acting like a bit of a punk? Sure. Laying on the trainer's table during the last preseason game in his street clothes and sweats? Sure. Probably acting out. But you don't give up players like that in their prime for a couple of first round picks. And then Jerry Jones had the gall to say yesterday, well, maybe those picks will turn out to be really good players. We could take one of those picks and trade it for somebody really good. It's almost like Jerry Jones is going to call the Browns and say, want some picks? We want Myles Garrett. Well, Myles Garrett's 31. So why wouldn't you have paid? Myles Garrett's better, okay, than Micah, but Micah's 26. It's just stupid. Kenny Clark's fine, whatever. I think that part of it is ridiculous. And give Brian Gutekunst and the Packers brass credit. They went out and did something they don't normally do. That is unlike Green Bay to go for it and take a big swing and spend big money on an individual. But that's exactly what they're doing. All right. And does this vault Green Bay into the NFC Championship game Super Bowl discussion? Absolutely, it does. It does. They're a good team already. Jordan Love, jury's still out. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't hate him. I'm a big Josh Jacobs guy. Zach Tom just got paid on their offensive line's a good player. Their defense is young. You got Rashawn Gary on one side, Parsons on the other. Their safeties are good. Their linebackers are good. I love Cooper. They got some good young pieces. That's a dangerous team. I know Matthew Golden is the second coming. He's the Packers version of Isaac Tesla, although he was a first-round pick. We'll see. I still think their corners are shaky. I know one of their corners, Bo Melton, was a former receiver that they've turned into a corner. We'll see how they do covering people. But it certainly will help their defense to get a guy like Micah Parsons who can twist, get around the edge. Remember, it was 3 years ago, the 2022 game where the Lions played the Cowboys and the Cowboys just waxed the Lions like 31-6 or something. And in that game, Micah Parsons, or maybe it was 24-6, Parsons went right around Taylor Decker at the end of that game and got a strip sack of Jared Goff and recovered it. And that was the game, really. With that being said, I want to discuss the Lions part of this because I think some of you, not all of you, and I love the fans and I love our Locked On Lions listeners and viewers, but I think some of you are acting like a bunch of babies, crying that the division's over, crying that they got Parsons and we didn't, crying that probably just finished second place. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we doing? Like the Lions are just some slouch now? They're going to kowtow and bow down to Green Bay? I seem to recall the last 3 times the Lions have gone to Lambeau Field, they have kicked the Packers' ass, period. Not just beat them, kicked their ass. Is Ragnow gone? Yes. Is Zeitler gone? Yes. Was Jonah Jackson a part of the ass kicking a couple years ago on the offensive line? Sure. There are plenty of talent on this roster. Stop with this defeatist bull crap. Brad Holmes should have done. Why didn't we get Hendricks? You can't pay Aiden Hutchinson 50 and Micah Parsons 47 and Jared Goff's cap number next year's in the 60s. You can't do that. But Denver years ago had Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. They had 2 edge rushers that were elite. Those guys were making $50 million each. Tell me, somebody put in the YouTube comments, send me an email, hit me up on Twitter, X, whatever, you could, Blue Sky, TikTok. I don't give a crap. Tell me when an NFL team has had 2 edge rushers making $50 million each. And let me know what team did that. Oh, but the Bengals have 2 receivers. I'm well aware of what the Bengals do. The Bengals aren't going to have Hendrickson long term because they've got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both making too much money. I am here to defend your football team coming up next. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I'm not telling you it's a lock. I'm not telling you Super Bowl. Matt Derry says 14-3. Nope. But I am going to tell you some facts about your team. Coming up next. Locked On Lions for today, brought to you by our friends at Upside. Hey, Lions fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code TOUCHDOWN and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it is totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card from Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Get it? Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code TOUCHDOWN for limited time 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code TOUCHDOWN. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by the Gametime app. Who's looking for tickets? NFL season is back. We got the home opener, Lions and Bears, coming up September 14th. There's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a pain. Between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. All right. Was on the Gametime app recently looking for tickets for Tigers Guardians coming up in a couple of weeks. Look, I know the division's over. I know we're not very good and your team is, but want to go down to Comerica Park one last time and see my guys, and I'll do it with the zone deals and everything else they have at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. All right, it's a fired up Friday. I've got high energy today. Matt Derry with you, Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. Yes, I'm rocking my Jose Ramirez shirt today. For those of you watching on the old YouTube channel, listen. We did the NFL Top 100 from the Locked On hosts a few weeks ago. We told you that the Lions had the second most players on the NFL Top 100 list from Locked On of any team out there. They had 6. I believe Philly had 7 or 8. All right. Top 100 Lions. Penei Sewell was 13. Aiden Hutchinson, 30. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 32. Jahmyr Gibbs, 37. Kirby Joseph, 45. And Jared Goff, 82. Why am I bringing this up? It is simple. And I have an argument for Sam Laporta and Brian Branch, too. They could probably be on that list. The Lions have a lot of talent. Detroit is a good football team. Your general manager, Brad Holmes, took this thing from the bottom. All right. Like Drake once said, started from the bottom. Now we're here. He took this team, 3-win football team, and turned them into a 15-win football team in the span of a couple of seasons here. Does Brad Holmes make some mistakes? Yes. Is Brad Holmes getting a little cocky? Sure. Brad Holmes has brought a winner here. Have they won it all? Have they gone to the Super Bowl yet? No. But this is a damn good team that is set up to win for a long time. Brad Holmes could not have acquired Micah Parsons, nor could he have blocked the Green Bay Packers from getting Micah Parsons. This notion from some fans, and I heard one call into the Rieger show last night, is preposterous. Jerry Jones said there were 3 factors in finding a dance partner for the Micah trade. Number 1, he wanted 2 first-round picks. Do the Lions have 2 first-round picks? Yep, they could have traded him picks. Okay. Number 2, the team must have salary cap room to acquire Micah Parsons and offer an extension. While the Lions have salary cap space this season, the Lions have said it. If we were to go out and get, remember, during the Myles Garrett rumors, Max Crosby rumors, Trey Hendrickson rumors, now Micah Parsons, Brad Holmes has said we cannot pay 2 elite defensive ends or edge rushers and be able to be sustainable with our cap. I'm sorry, I agree with it. Could the Lions have made that move this season to go for it? Yes, for this season. But I'm not sure they could have signed Parsons long-term. They still haven't been able to sign their own guy long-term. And now that Parsons got 47, Aiden's asking for 50. That's how it works. Remember when Matthew Stafford was highest paid quarterback? We went, hey, we got the highest paid quarterback. Matthew Stafford's high. He was highest paid for 2 seconds. Until like Kirk Cousins came along. And everybody said, yeah, but Kirk Cousins isn't as good as Stafford. Doesn't matter about who's good and who isn't. It's timing. Everything is timing. That's what it's about. Aiden Hutchinson's agent is going to get $50 million from the Lions per season. Watch. That number just went up yesterday. Most of the Lions, I'm sure, are like, great, Micah Parsons to the Packers. Aiden Hutchinson's like, ooh, cash register sound bite. Drop. That's number 1 and 2 or whatever list I'm on here. The Lions have a lot of talent. They still have more talent than Green Bay does. I'm sorry to say they do. And we're going to find out in week 1 where this is at. If the Lions can't run the football and the interior of the offensive line is shaky and they miss Ragnow and Ratledge as a right guard as a rookie struggle, we're going to find out in week 1. But I got news for you. Everybody's going to pick the Packers now. Everybody. Look at the Vegas numbers and the odds, courtesy of our friends at FanDuel. Packers are plus 175 to win the division. Lions are plus 195. The Packers are now the betting favorites in Vegas to win the division. The Lions now are going to be knocked down a peg by just about everybody nationally. And I've told you, Colin Cowherd, McIntyre from the Cowherd Show, Pete Prisco picked the Packers weeks ago. Ross Tucker was on this podcast, picked the Packers. If you watch our Locked On NFC North preview show, which came out 2 hours before the Parsons thing yesterday, Peter Bukowski picked the Packers. I know he's the host of Locked On Packers, and he's a complete Green Bay shill. We'll have him on Thursday, but still, everybody's hopping on the Green Bay bandwagon now, and people are ready to close the door on our team. I think that's a mistake. I think the Lions are going to see some massive improvement from their defense. I think they've upgraded their defense, especially in the secondary and with their lead cornerback. I think their middle linebacker, Jack Campbell, stepping up. I think their defensive line, while there's questions if Davenport can stay healthy. And look, the Lions need to add another edge rusher. I don't know what they're doing with Zadarius Smith. My guess with Zadarius Smith is that they want him to be a third down guy only. He was not good against the run last year. And they're probably offering him a couple $1 million. And he's probably going, I'm not going from $11 million that was on my contract to $3 million. That's not happening. So that's where we stand. But you got some guys on that offense that are really going to turn it up. Jameson Williams is going to have a big year. Isaac Tesla is an upgrade already. I'm telling you, he's going to be really good. There's a lot of good players here, folks. Dan Campbell is still here. I'm well aware of the coordinator situation. By the way, the New York media hates Aaron. They hate Aaron Glenn already. Watch the soundbite of type in on Google Aaron Glenn my decision and watch that soundbite. The Jets writers are in for it. Sounds like Aaron's getting a little mouthy. But regardless, it's a good football team. And there's a part of me that wants to pick the Lions next Sunday because everybody's going to pick against them. Everybody's going to go, well, Green Bay, Micah Parsons. Oh, they're done. Packers are great. Packers are taking back the division. Lions are yesterday's news. Keep sleeping on these guys. You don't think Dan Campbell's not going to use that as motivation? Because the last 3 years, every time the Lions have gone into Lambeau, it's been, it's tough to play in. Remember last year? Golly gee, I know it's not cold, but it's pouring rain. Or the Lions, Jared Goff's going to have to play in the wet conditions outdoors. The Lions clubbed the Packers last year. Jordan Love threw the ball right to Kirby Joseph, and he just coasted into the end zone. Newest Lion, by the way, has been added to the practice squad. So the Lions now have 16 players on their practice squad, and that is former Vikings and Raiders edge rusher Andre Carter II. Carter played for 3 years at Army as a starter, was a UDFA, played 2 years for the Vikings, and played actually his first year, played in 12 games as a rookie. Last year was on the Vikings practice squad and then was signed off the practice squad by the Raiders, played in 3 games for the Raiders last year. He's a big guy, 6'6", 256 pounds. And his senior year at Army, he had 15 and a half sacks. Andre Carter II is your newest member of the practice squad. Practice squad's got 16. Active roster only has 52. So I don't know what Brad Holmes is doing there. I don't know what they're waiting for, but they've got an open roster spot, and they're searching. All right, call of the day coming up next, right here on Locked On Lions. Oh, folks, guess who's back on Locked On Lions? That is correct. Our friends at PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is done. We're ready for the regular season coming up Thursday with Dallas and Philly. College football also is underway. Whether you've got your eye on big name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. All right. Who are you excited to watch? Lamar Jackson with Baltimore. Opening night to watch and see what Jalen Hurts and Prescott do. Everything else, George Pickens with the Cowboys. You can put money down on those players on PrizePicks. It's simple. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Excuse me. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Plus, the flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you can still double your money. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, we'd like to hear from the audience for sure. We're going to have Trey Wingo, by the way, is going to join us on Tuesday. Trey Wingo, former host of NFL Live on ESPN. Trey has always been an NFL guy. Did a show last year on DraftKings. He's got a new podcast venture. We're going to hear from Trey Wingo, our man, on Tuesday, right here on Locked On Lions next week. And Peter Bukowski Thursday for the Locked On Thursday crossover edition before Detroit and Green Bay next Sunday. All right, we hear from you today. It is time for our call of the day. You want to be our call of the day? You can at www.speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page.
Hey, Matt, this is Curtis, first-time caller, everyday listener from North Aurora, Illinois. My question is, the Lions have had so much progress in the past 5 seasons under Dan Campbell's leadership. When he took over as head coach in 2021, now entering his 5th season. If the Lions win the Super Bowl this season, where would you rank Dan Campbell as far as all-time great Detroit coaches in coaching history, along the likes of Sparky Anderson, Chuck Daly, Scotty Bowman? Sparky Anderson, when he took over the Tigers in 1979, he was said in his book, Bless You Boys, that it would take 5 years for the Tigers to win a World Series, and they did. Now with Dan Campbell entering his 5th season with the Lions, he's on that trajectory and with the same success, not exactly the same success, but taking the team that was not very good when he took over to where he's taken them now. And also where Dan Campbell was 45 at the time of his hiring, and Sparky Anderson was also 45 at the time of his hiring. It seems like that this would be the season, if things panned out with history, that the Lions would win a Super Bowl. Just wanted to know what your thoughts were, if where would this put Dan Campbell as far as being an all-time coaching in Detroit's history. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Have a great day. Go Lions.
Thank you to Curtis Crawford Jr. for checking in with us. Here is our call of the day. That's a very, very interesting question. If Dan Campbell were to take the Lions to the Super Bowl and win it, Dan Campbell would be the greatest coach in Detroit sports history. Period. End of story. It's the Lions. Okay. A person, a human being, winning the Super Bowl for the Lions as the head coach already vaults you to the very top. And yes, Chuck Daly was fantastic. Back to back. Bad Boys. Larry Brown won a championship for the Pistons. Scotty Bowman. How many cups did Scotty win? Did Scotty do 2 and Babcock 2? Is that what it was? Or did Scotty get 3? Regardless, Scotty Bowman was a Hall of Famer before he got to Detroit. And he did a fantastic job, of course. Sparky Anderson in 84, man, was just legendary. All right. And of course, the teams later on in that decade, the 87 team and everything else, there were some very good teams that Sparky managed. What he did with the 84 team. Hey, did you guys know that the 84 team started 35-5? Hey, did you guys know Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw went to high school together? Regardless, Sparky was a legend. But Dan Campbell, oh, by the way, the Tigers didn't treat Sparky like a legend at the end. He went into the Hall of Fame in a Reds cap because the Illiches treated Sparky like garbage. Remember Sparky Anderson Day when nobody there, and then they honored him again and retired his number after he died? Good work. Dan Campbell would be the best coach in Detroit sports history, winning the Super Bowl, because it's been an impossibility with this franchise since the Super Bowl began in the 70s or late 60s. And we all know that the Lions have won an NFL championship since 1957. And Joe Schmidt, legendary and everything else. But Dan Campbell wins a Super Bowl with the Lions. I think it would vault him to the very, very top. And there have been some great coaches. This is a great sports city. I think the best sports city there is. But man, that would put Dan, to me, at the very top. It would. All right, that'll do it for the week. We'll be back again on Labor Day on Monday. Full week of shows next week. Trey Wingo on Tuesday. Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers, the most hated man in Detroit sports, will join us on Thursday. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody. End of summer. Enjoy it. Supposed to have some good weather. And go Lions.